Hi, in this video, I'm going to show you guys how to create an assembly for your tensegrity structure. So you can see on the left-hand side that I've already made my tensegrity arm, my tensegrity bottom, my tensegrity top. And now I'm going to make an assembly of all of them together. So the first thing I have to do is create a new file. It's untitled, so I have to save it first or it won't let me bring in different components. So I'm going to call it tensegrity assembly. And I'll just call it number 3, just so that I know. And then I'm going to pick the right location that I want it for. And this one is going to be it's whatever folder you've been saving your work in. And so I've saved that. So now it's got a name and I can bring in the components. So the first component I'm going to bring in is this tensegrity bottom. I'm just going to drag it in. And so I know that I want the front to show me just sort of the side. So from the top view, I'm going to see this surface here. So I'm going to rotate it. And I'm happy with that first piece. I'm going to press OK. All right, so I can see all these, the dimensions from the components. So I'm just going to expand here and I'm just going to hide the sketches. So now it looks nice and clean. So this is my first component that I brought in. This is called a bill of material. So I'm going to have a list of all my components in here. So I'm going to bring in my next one. It's the arm. So you can do two things. You can just right away assemble the way you want the arm to be, or you can position it in sort of a general area of how you want it to look, and then position it. So I always like it having it being aligned the way that I know I want it to look. And so now that I'm happy with the way that it's sort of positioned, I am going to lock it in. So I'm creating a joint. So I'm going to click on this right here. So I want to join this surface right here with a surface from the other one. So I'm going to click on that, and you can see right there that one surface is selected. So now I'm going to go to my other part, and the adjoining surface will actually be this one right here. So you have to know what you're doing a little bit before. So I click on that, and then they lock in place. So if it was rotated or it wasn't in the right direction and I needed to change it, I could play around with these numbers and see how it goes. But because I had already put it in the right spot, it went in nicely and I press OK. So now it's locked into place. If I move this one moves with it. All right, so we're going to bring the top now. Now the top is floating. It's actually a separate component. It's floating, but there are some things that we want to line up. So I'm going to bring in the top piece and I'm just going to drag that in here. And I'm just going to rotate it 90 degrees that way. I'm going to move it this way a little bit. Okay. And I know that I need this one to be over here. So I can line up this hole and this hole, and I'm going to have them offset from one another. So I'm going to pick those two holes. So I'm going to zoom in right here, and I'm going to pick that surface there. And then I'm going to zoom in down here, and I'm going to pick this one here. So you can see right now that they're aligned, but I want it to be offset. So I am going to, I think this is my Z axis. And now it's aligned, the top and the bottom, for those 4 holes, but it's offset by 110 millimeters. And I want to do that so that it looks like my tensegrity structure. So I've got a bit of space. So I'm not sure if 110 is exactly what I want to do, but we're going to see. Okay, so now that one's locked into place there. And so I'm going to bring in my last piece. So I'm going to bring in another arm. And let's just see what it looks like when I go to, if I don't rotate this, what it will do when I bring it in together. So I'm going to do that edge right there, and its corresponding edge is right here. So let's see what it does there. And so it did the edge, but I don't quite like the way that it looks. It's not in the right direction. So we need to rotate the angle a little bit. So it's still letting us move it. So we're just going to rotate this down by 90 degrees. There you go. And then so now it's locked in place. All right. So I press OK. And now we're going to take a look. So I need to make sure that these 2 holes are lined up. And if they're not, then I need to move them in the piece part. And then from the top view, I can tell that the holes on the top and the bottom are lined up. And so when I go to put my string in, they'll be ready to go. So I've got my 4 components, they're all assembled, and now I can use this assembly to make my drawing. If you guys have any questions, please ask in class. Thanks.